Welcome back to the Future Archive. Today we examine archived broadcasts from July 20, 2026, a day when markets embraced chaos, protesters embraced insects, and energy solutions embraced irony. We'll cover financial innovation, political theater, literary class, AI competition, and a battery that could have saved us all. The first story. Trump media monetizes presidential thoughts for Wall Street. On July 20, 2026, Trump Media and Technology Group announced a premium service offering Wall Street traders early access to Donald Trump's unfiltered social media posts. The service, dubbed Truth Premium, promised subscribers instantaneous delivery of the former president's market-moving statements before they were publicly visible. For a reported fee of $10,000 per month, hedge funds and institutional investors could receive these posts up to 30 seconds before the general public. The rationale was simple. Trump's tweets and social media activity had historically moved stock prices from his own companies to entire sectors. The SEC was reportedly reviewing whether this constituted insider trading, but no immediate action was taken. The service launched within weeks and was quickly adopted by major financial firms. This was capitalism at its most unvarnished, turning political volatility into a tradable asset. The practice highlighted how financial systems had become so intertwined with digital communication that a single individual's keystrokes could be monetized as a market signal. From the 2050 perspective, this was an early example of what would later be called algorithmic charisma, where public figures' digital outputs were treated as financial instruments. The SEC, as was often the case, formed a committee to study the issue. AI safety committees were not the only committees that met without conclusion. The market always finds a way to profit from chaos. The second story. Cockroach protesters swarm Delhi in symbolic demonstration. In a bizarre and visually striking protest, thousands of demonstrators dressed as cockroaches marched toward India's parliament in Delhi on July 20, 2026. The protesters, part of a movement calling for political reform and greater accountability, chose the cockroach as their symbol to represent resilience and the perceived persistence of corruption. Authorities responded with crowd control measures themed around pest control, including water cannons labeled as insecticide and barriers designed to contain the infestation. The protest was largely peaceful, though hundreds were detained. The imagery went viral, sparking global conversations about creative dissent and the lengths governments would go to suppress it. This event was a masterclass in political theater, demonstrating how symbolic action could amplify a message beyond traditional protests. The cockroach, an insect known for its ability to survive almost anything, became a powerful metaphor for both the endurance of the people and the stubbornness of the issues they faced. By 2050, this protest would be studied as a turning point in the use of absurdity as a tool for serious political expression. Governments, of course, continued to respond with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Some metaphors refused to be exterminated. The third story. Food delivery worker wins China's top literary prize. On July 20, 2026, a food delivery writer in China named Li Haisheng won the country's prestigious Lu Xun Literary Prize for his poetry collection, Between the Orders. Li, who worked for the delivery platform Meituan, wrote his poems during breaks and while waiting for orders. His work, which explored themes of urban alienation, labor, and the fleeting moments of beauty in a gig worker's life, resonated deeply with both critics and the public. The win sparked widespread debate about the accessibility of art and the role of class in cultural recognition. It also raised questions about whether AI, which was increasingly used to analyze and even generate literature, could ever replicate the raw humanity of Li's verse. This story underscored the tension between the gig economy's exploitation and its unexpected capacity to produce art that moved millions. Li's victory was a reminder that creativity cannot be entirely commodified or predicted, even by the most advanced algorithms. By 2050, Li's poems would be taught in schools, though his former employer would later claim in a retrospective ad campaign that they had always supported the arts. Evidence later suggested an intern clicked something. Art persists, even in the margins of a delivery app. The fourth story. China's Moonshot AI unveils Kimi K3, claiming parity with Western models. Moonshot AI, a Beijing-based artificial intelligence company, announced on July 20, 2026, that its latest model, Kimi K3, had achieved performance levels comparable to OpenAI's and Anthropic's most advanced systems. The claim was based on internal benchmarks and third-party evaluations, which showed Kimi K3 excelling in tasks like reasoning, coding, and multilingual understanding. The announcement set off a frenzy in tech circles, with some hailing it as a breakthrough for China's AI ambitions, while others dismissed it as marketing hype. Investors scrambled to assess the implications, and Western AI firms began lobbying for stricter export controls on semiconductor technology. The debate over whether China had truly caught up would rage for years. This moment marked a pivotal chapter in the global AI race, where the question was no longer if China would become a leader in AI, but when. From the 2050 vantage point, the Kimi K3 announcement was a clear inflection point, though the real shift would come later, when it became evident that AI development was less a race and more a collective stumble into an uncertain future. As for the benchmarks, well, benchmarks were always more about marketing than meaning. Humanity's favorite strategy of postponing hard questions about AI governance was in full effect. The race to the future was run on paper before it was run on code. The fifth story. Scientists unveil scalable liquid battery, promising end to energy scarcity. Researchers at MIT and Harvard announced on July 20, 2026, the development of a liquid battery technology that could be scaled indefinitely, offering a potential solution to renewable energy storage. The breakthrough, published in Nature Energy, described a flow battery system that could store vast amounts of wind and solar energy at a fraction of the cost of existing lithium-ion batteries. Environmentalists hailed it as a game-changer for the transition away from fossil fuels. However, within days, it was revealed that a major oil company had quietly acquired the patent rights, ostensibly to study its viability. The scientists involved expressed frustration but noted that such acquisitions were unfortunately common. This was a classic case of innovation, meeting the immutable forces of economic self-interest. The liquid battery had the potential to upend energy markets, but its fate illustrated how entrenched industries could delay progress simply by controlling the intellectual property. By 2050, the technology would finally be widely deployed, but only after the patents had expired and the oil company in question had pivoted to selling energy transition consulting services. The Great Spreadsheet Crisis of 2042 would later reveal that the delay had cost the planet several critical years in emissions reductions. The future was invented, then shelved. July 20, 2026 was a day of contradictions. Markets monetized chaos, protesters embraced absurdity, art triumphed in the gig economy, AI competition heated up, and energy solutions were bought and buried. Humanity, as ever, was both brilliant and baffling. This has been the Future Archive. The past, as always, is not going anywhere.